Welcome to the Intrazone Roadmap Pit Stop December 2023 edition. This is a bonus monthly show that answers that burning question in your mind. What's rolling out now for SharePoint and related technology in Microsoft 365? I'm Mark Cashman, Senior Product Manager at Microsoft, here to help set the ongoing record straight, rounding out 2023 and readying the release engines for 2024. This month, we've got a lot to review and a lot to look forward to. We will focus on everything that landed this past month, like usual. This last month of 2023, we're going to highlight the top 5 SharePoint and related technology items that released and came out in 2023. We're going to take a peek ahead at 5 anticipated features that are now live on the public roadmap, something that's slated for calendar year 24 within the first quarter. We'll then shine a light on a few of the related items as we normally do, hit up the always fun teasers looking into next month, and do stick around. We've got a special bonus festive song cooked up for you titled, "It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like SharePoint." Don't miss it. It's queried at number 1 on the Power BI charts, 4 dynamic reports in a row. It's an instant holiday classic, one to bookmark and gain insights from with every listen. This is your podcast, a slightly more than 30-minute pit stop to stay ahead of the ever-curving Microsoft 365 roadmap. Okay, it's time to kick back and get informed about all the tech that rolled out in from the North Pole in December 2023. Ho, ho, ho! Here we go. First up, with employee engagement, our big number 1 item in December is Microsoft SharePoint eSignature. Now I might ask, can I get your John Hancock, please? Just e-sign on the dotted line. And yes, I manage the document in my tenant without leaving my tenant throughout our entire e-signing transaction. Microsoft's native eSignature service allows you to request simple electronic signatures from internal and external recipients for a PDF document in SharePoint. Recipients sign the documents without the document leaving the trusted boundaries of Microsoft 365. This is a pay-as-you-go service with a charge per request, and in order to set this up, the SharePoint eSignature service, there's a lot of great admin documentation to get it set up so that you can use it within your tenant. Next up, Microsoft Stream is adding a lot of interactivity, and I'm breaking this up into 2 sections, but they really blend together. The first one is the ability to add a survey, poll, or quiz to a video at specific times. You can make your video more interactive and more engaging by adding a survey, quiz, or poll, which uses Microsoft Forms inside Microsoft Stream. You can add forms anywhere in the video timeline. It's great for training scenarios or anytime you want to get info and insights from your viewers in the flow of their viewing. Interactivity can be added, edited, and preview in the Stream web app in edit mode by users who have editing permissions to that specific video. You then go to Microsoft Forms to view responses and share a summary link with answers and scores in Microsoft Forms. Viewers can use the video timeline markers to navigate in and out of the interactive content. So that's one item, but to keep with that interactivity with Stream, the next one is the ability to add interactivity in the context of adding hyperlinks or texts that call out as you move through a video at specific times. This is another way to make your video interactive and engaging by adding annotations that can handle and include hyperlinks that take you out to other content or just simple text that pops up. This could be something like a call out to highlight important moments in the video, or share links to related documents and other additional resources that you want to point people to, again, in the flow of their viewing. Take them out and then right back to where they were in the video, in the timeline. Again, you'll see these on the timeline view so you can navigate through the markers, click on them if you want to go back to them at any point in time. The information is right at your fingertips and again, in the context of the video. Really great innovation coming from Stream and really making it so that you can add a lot of elements, even after the video is finished, to add that interactivity. So the Stream team has a healthy pipeline of innovation. I always love seeing some of what they're doing, whether they're posting in their blogs or in socials or at the various events. They always have a really nice set of what are they doing next. It's a great team behind it, and it really is their mission to bring video excellence across Microsoft 365. And it's great to see this latest round of video interactivity features that are now flowing in. Let's move on to Viva Engage, specifically one that's for developers out there looking to up their game when it comes to programmatic community creation. That's right. The Viva Engage Community Creation API is now available within the Microsoft Graph beta. So it is now being available to you to test. Many of our customers have requested this capability in the past to programmatically create communities instead of creation via the Engage user interface. We invite you to try this beta endpoint and provide us with feedback. Get a lot of great use at it, knowing what it is that you can do for when you do it. Some things to note about the API. It is a Microsoft 365 Groups Unified. It supports app delegated, user auth, and app only access. It is limited to networks in native mode only. Legacy and external Yammer networks will not be able to use this API for community creation. And community creation for an existing Microsoft 365 group is out of scope. There's a lot of information to go read, of course, from a developer's perspective, but I always think it's important, even if you're not a developer, to know what's possible, because you might be the one saying, hey, we need to do X, and I wonder if we can. You find out you can, and then you hire a great developer that can go do that for you. And if they know the Microsoft Graph, this will just flow in to be another capability of how you can reach out to create and consume content for Microsoft 365 from that single API, the Microsoft Graph. Okay, before jumping right into December 2023, the teamwork side of things, those updates, let's take a deep breath and look across the breadth of 2023. It was a banner year. Some Marvel enthusiasts might even say it was a Bruce Banner year. And not to make you too angry, I shall not delay. Here are the top 5 SharePoint and related tech items that shipped in 2023 with a light bias selection and ordering by yours truly. Now, 2 of the biggest releases were undoubtedly Copilot for Microsoft 365 and new Teams. I am going to skip over those, but it's hard to skip over those. Those were 2 big releases and announcements that came through loud and clear in 2023. But we won't discount those behemoths, but we'll certainly include them with that light mention. But we will move on to really focus on SharePoint and the top 5 releases in 2023. So, at number 5, OneDrive Simplified Sharing. OneDrive, you say, that's not a SharePoint technology. In fact, it is, because this simplified sharing now appears everywhere, in OneDrive, in Teams, coming soon, even further beyond those apps. And it, of course, is using SharePoint as its foundational element for the storage element. Number 4. Stream playlists. This is powered by Microsoft Lists, which means it's powered, really, by SharePoint. It's a great new feature for you to be able to put together a set of videos, share them easily, especially on the playback. It's really a breeze to play back a set of videos that have been put into a stream playlist. Number 3. New stream on SharePoint, the web part. There's always been a great video web part, whether it's video from your enterprise or video from YouTube, but this one takes it to a whole new level. Of course, it adapts to the new stream on SharePoint platform, but it really makes it so you can bring in a lot of great video or sets of videos, whole channels, in one easy step of adding the new stream web part on your SharePoint page or news article. Number 2, Loop components in channels. Loop is on fire. And Loop, there it is now in channels. It's becoming pretty much something you can do everywhere. But from a Teams perspective, it started only in one-on-one chats. Now you can bring them to where your team is collaborating and have those components actually stored in the Teams workspace, not in the individual's OneDrive. So it broadens the scope of where in SharePoint it's being stored. Loop is a great new app that subscribes to the SharePoint Content Service, and it's a great new experience in Teams channels. Number 1, SharePoint feature of 2023, SharePoint News to Email Inbox. box. That means you can take that great value of building out a beautiful SharePoint page with lots of context and using the web parts, layouts, and all that stuff in SharePoint and have it be a beautiful email that you send to people and have them consume it all, not just the preview and link back out to SharePoint, but the entire context delivered as an email. It's a really great new feature. There's a lot of guidelines in terms of templates that you can choose from that will always look great in email. And it's something that I encourage you to try. It's one of the easiest things you can do to create a new news article and then choose to send it as email. Now, I do have a couple of bonuses, and I've got one for every audience out there. The first bonus feature of 2023, looking back, this is the bonus for everyone. It's the Microsoft feed. If this isn't foundational to what it is that you can do with Microsoft 365 to have it feel like a more personalized productivity space, the Microsoft feed is tantamount to that, no matter where you come across it, in Teams, in Outlook, directly in the Microsoft 365 app. It's also foundational of what it's pulling from. It's the Microsoft graph. All these elements of what's happening around you, who you work with, what you work on, what they work on that you have access to, you will see it in the Microsoft feed in the context of what's relevant and personalized to you. So that's the bonus for everyone. The bonus one for admins was a big one for SharePoint. This is the SharePoint Advanced Management, aka SAM. SAM I am, green eggs and ham. Great one for admins to be able to look at things like oversharing or just to be able to rectify what it is going on in sites and how to manage those better. And the last bonus is for developers. Are you ready? Developers, your 2023 bonus was the ability to bring your data into Microsoft 365 with Microsoft Graph connectors. This is helping users get relevant results from all the data in the context of various apps that you're pulling into the graph, not just out of the graph. So it really complements something that we've been building a lot into the Microsoft Graph to expand its value and, of course, to go beyond the boundaries of Microsoft 365 repositories to really tap into where you have a lot of other data, but to do it in a programmatic way and one that makes sense for how you want to expose that. A little bit more easier for you to develop against, the result being that you have a richer set of results for whatever it is you're trying to show your end user. Okay. The sun's getting real low. Like the Avengers, it is time to calm down and move on to the teamwork section of the pod. Teamwork. First up, the OneDrive app for Microsoft Teams. This is fully plumbed on the SharePoint platform, but it is a unique all OneDrive experience inside of Teams. So maybe one less reason to leave Teams if you're in Teams a lot. By now, you may have seen or used our new OneDrive experience on the web. And if so, you'll know how it makes finding and organizing what's important to you a lot more easy, no matter where your content is stored or how it's shared with you. Now, in Microsoft Teams, we give you that same OneDrive experience with all the new enhancements directly within Teams. The new OneDrive app for Teams is now rolling out worldwide and will replace the generic Files app. That's a capital F Files app in Teams. This is the file app that you have seen on the left-hand rail of Microsoft Teams, and now you will simply see the branding of OneDrive, but the full value of the OneDrive experience comes through. So it's not just the Files app rebranded. It really is OneDrive in Teams. This will be an experience that no matter where you see it, hopefully you will agree with us. It's consistent and familiar in how you manage your files across Teams, OneDrive, anywhere within Microsoft 365. There's a great new blog I'll point you to if you want to check out some of the screenshots. You could certainly go and just get it in Microsoft Teams and see what you think the experience is. We'd love to hear from you. Next is another OneDrive feature. This is the Open in App feature, which means fewer clicks, tighter integration, less content, leaving your tenant trust boundaries. In the same way that you can open a Word, PowerPoint, or Excel file in their respective desktop apps directly from OneDrive, you can now open any file in its desktop app directly from OneDrive. Edit it, and the changes will sync right back to OneDrive. For OneDrive My Files or SharePoint's documents, users can now select Open an App to open a file in its native app. This feature is powered by OneDrive's sync, which means it requires having OneDrive.exe, the executable file that's installed on the user's machine. In case it's not running, when you use the Open in-app feature, it will start the OneDrive executable if enabled in your tenant or for you. Last, for teamwork, it's a big milestone. We're going to end on a big feature that was recently announced that's now moving into public preview, and that is Microsoft 365 Backup. The Microsoft 365 Backup service is a product offering that spans across OneDrive, SharePoint, and Exchange within Microsoft 365, and it provides customers with a consistent cross-product solution to recover their Microsoft 365 data from cataclysmic events such as at-scale ransomware attacks or malicious accidental data deletion or corruption by end users. The Microsoft 365 Backup service is available as a pay-as-you-go and will be enabled through the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. Global admins can back up or restore content across defined services, across SharePoint, OneDrive, or Exchange. To protect content for any defined service, they need to create a backup policy for that service and add the relevant sites, accounts, or mailboxes that they want to protect to that policy. SharePoint admins can back up and restore content for both SharePoint and OneDrive, but not Exchange. And similarly, Exchange admins can back up and restore content only for Exchange, but not SharePoint and OneDrive, per the boundaries and delegation of each admin role. If you're global, you're set. If you're SharePoint, that's OneDrive and SharePoint. If you're Exchange, that's Exchange. No matter, you will be able to back up what it is that you need. So take a step back up and give it a try. It'll restore your faith in additional data and content recovery options across Microsoft 365. So let us move into the related technology. We're going to start with noting an end-of-year announcement that Microsoft made during the European SharePoint conference in Amsterdam, aka ESPC 23. We announced SharePoint Embedded, the public preview. At its core, Microsoft 365 offers industrial strength, capacity, and management for your critical enterprise content in the apps you use every day. And much of that is based on the foundational content management capabilities of SharePoint. Imagine if you didn't have to build a robust content store for your line of business applications. Hence, we are pleased to announce that SharePoint Embedded is a new way to build custom content apps for enterprises and ISVs, and again, available now in public preview. To give it a little bit more of what is SharePoint Embedded, it offers a headless API-only pattern to build content apps that integrate content management capabilities like collaboration, security, and compliance into any app by storing content inside an enterprise's existing Microsoft 365 tenant. Now, I think I know what SharePoint Embedded is going to be next Halloween. That's right, the Headless Horseman. Let us leave the lore to Sleepy Hollow for now, and let us carry on. Enterprises can use SharePoint Embedded to power line of business applications, which create a unified and familiar experience for both app users and system administrators charged with managing these new apps. ISVs can use the same scalable and performant technology to deliver Microsoft 365 content management capabilities as part of every enterprise app that they build. I will repeat, SharePoint Embedded is available now for public preview. We do want you to program against it. And as we plan for general availability in mid-2024, it's now time to give it a try. It's available under pay-as-you-go in the consumption terms, meaning you pay for the storage you use and the volume of API calls and data transfers without the need for additional user licensing. There's a lot of information about this since we just announced it. I will point you to that in the blog and in the show notes. And yes, that is Headless SharePoint for the win. Next up is a network domain update. Microsoft Loop app is transitioning to the cloud.microsoft domain. In the next few weeks, the Microsoft Loop app will become available at cloud.microsoft domain, which is then accessible at loop.cloud.microsoft. This was something that we published out to admins on December 19th of 2023. So if you do the math in the next couple weeks in quotes, that means it should be available to you to give a try. And from your IT perspective, if you've already put that into a trusted zone. But let's round that down. The cloud.microsoft domain was provisioned in early 2023 to provide a unified, trusted, and dedicated DNS domain space to host Microsoft's first-party authenticated SaaS products and experiences. The cloud.microsoft domain has been a part of the standard Microsoft network guidance on domains and services in terms of endpoints. And so if you are currently following this guidance, this change shouldn't impact your users in your organization using the above applications under that new domain. Users will be directed from loop.microsoft.com, the original foundational domain for Loop, now to loop.cloud.microsoft. And that will happen automatically. There's no specific end user action that's required. Again, admins do ensure that connections to the .cloud.microsoft are not blocked from your end users and from within your network. This should require no action if you're following those standard network guidelines. The short of it is there's a new great short URL for Microsoft Loop. It's loop.cloud.microsoft. It's the same app that you know. You can obviously access it no matter what you do from a URL perspective, or if you go and click the Loop app icon within the Microsoft 365 app launcher. But you'll notice this change visually, and you should know the impacts. Hopefully that was clear, especially from a network perspective. Next one is an FYI for SharePoint admins. The legacy SharePoint Invitation Manager is being retired. This platform is currently used only when document libraries are shared externally or when an external user is shared to with a custom role. These flows will now use the Entra B2B Invitation Manager instead. This means that these flows will now also respect any policies or settings in the Entra B2B Admin Center. So a little change from older legacy tech to new tech. Again, the impact should be pretty minor and pretty small. And we're going to end our related item section with a heads up. This is a year's notice that Microsoft will retire Delve Web on December 16th, 2024. Yes, Delve is being put out to pasture, but with some notice. This was officially announced as a Message Center post, number 698136, that was published December 14th, 2023. So a bit of a heads up a year in advance. And I thought I'd take a little time just to reflect a little bit on Delve, because it was something I got to work on a while ago, and it was something that we were pretty proud when we started it. And it has a wonderful legacy and future, and I hope that becomes clear when I share a little bit. This was originally announced by Satya Nadella at the Convergence Conference on March 16th, 2015. Then it was called Office Delve, and it was described as, quotes, an experience within Office 365 that surfaces relevant content and insights tailored to each person. It's powered by the Office Graph, which is what we called the Microsoft Graph at that time, which was described as an intelligent fabric that applies machine learning to map the connections between people, content, and interactions that occur across Office 365. We've always considered Delve as the first Microsoft app to tap truly into and realize the value of what we call now Microsoft Graph. And today, nearly every Microsoft 365 app and service is tuned and tied to Microsoft Graph. We learned a lot through Delve. Much of what was in use today was informed by it. It was designed to analyze how people work with Office 365 and automatically make relevant data on colleagues and content easily accessible. Again, we will be retiring Delve on December 16th, 2024. Most of the features and value offered by Delve today are already available and improved in other experiences in Microsoft 365. The main one being profile cards in and throughout Microsoft 365. Again, if you haven't found the profile cards, hover over somebody's name and you will see what I'm talking about, what pops up. Those have gone through a lot of iterations, and they really started as a first instance of what we learned from Delve. But here's a full list of features that are offered in Delve and the experiences they carry forward, what we would recommend using. The Delve Home now would be a discovery of relevant documents recommended on either office.com or in the Office apps or on those profile cards. You will see what other people are working on that you have access to. The Delve Profile, you can now view profile data in the profile cards across Microsoft 365 through a people search on office.com and any search or activity that you do in OneDrive or SharePoint. You can edit your profile. There's a new edit profile experience that's tightly coupled with profile cards that are being developed and will be released in the second half of 2024. It's also possible for users to edit their profile data in the SharePoint profile edit experience. There was the organizational view that you saw in Delve. This exists in the profile cards already and is a dedicated experience in what we call the Org Explorer. We introduced favorites within Delve, and favorites are now on office.com and OneDrive. It's not connected to Delve, and it's a great option for users with similar functionality and improved availability. One thing to note with Delve, we had Delve boards where you could collect a variety of information in kind of a loose fashion to present them as in place, but on top of within a new board. Those will not be replaced, but certainly there's a lot of ways to collect and showcase information that are connected. A lot of ways to do that with topics and different ways to do that with hashtags and certainly different ways to organize on a variety of things like SharePoint pages or ways that you collect information. But not to hide it, that number one feature that was offered in Delve is the ability to update your profile. And just to reiterate that is coming in the second half of 2024. That's the biggest one that people were the most concerned if they heard this news. Again, a reminder that this will happen, the retirement of Delve, December 16th, 2024. Last little bit, I just wanted to give a shout out to my peers, Jem Aiken, for carrying that initial mantle that in the marketing side of things amplified and showed what Delve could do in those early days, especially dispelling a lot of the perception of what people were a little nervous about Delve being introduced. Then to Bill Baer for picking up that mantle when Jem crossed over into engineering. And truly a big thank you and a continued thank you to the whole FAST team. That's the, in quotes, capital F FAST team. When we brought them in for what we now have as Microsoft Search, that's a team in Oslo, Norway that does some wonderful work across search, people experiences, and they were the ones that originally developed Delve. Which brings it full circle, and a small bit of trivia I will leave you with. The original code name for Delve was Project Oslo. Lots of information to learn about where all these capabilities landed that I mentioned, and of course, a heads up that Delve is being retired in about a year's time. Now, before we move to the teasers and wrap up this episode, I wanted to share a holiday treat from our tech family out to you and our wonderful community. Ready? Hit it, Rudolph. It's beginning to look a lot like SharePoint. Everywhere you scroll, create a site with ease, design it as you please. Web parts make each page whole. It's beginning to look a lot like SharePoint, powering M365 apps you adore. Oh, the common collab you'll see across the pages, sites, files, videos, lists, loops, whiteboards, and more will be in your common content store. It's beginning to look a lot like SharePoint, no matter where you post. A stream video on each page, one from your CEO in Viva Engage. It's a wonderful employee experience host. Yes, it's beginning to look a lot like SharePoint, the grandest of all content stores. And the prettiest home site you'll see is Viva Connections under the tree, your new team's front door. Sure, it's SharePoint, beloved SharePoint. Once more. It is indeed beginning to look a lot like SharePoint, and how lucky we be. Merry SharePoint, everybody. Now, to kick off our teaser section this month, I wanted to look ahead, beyond next month, to highlight 5 interesting anticipated features that are currently live on the public roadmap, projected to begin rollout in calendar year 24 Q1, which means between January and March. I thought I would just kick us off with a little bit of a longer lens of some teasers that I was pretty excited about. Number 1, collaborate on SharePoint pages and news with co-authoring. It really takes this uber collaborative platform of SharePoint and makes it even more collaborative in real time with your co-authors. Number 2, Microsoft Viva World, Viva Amplify is getting the ability to publish to Viva Engage. Very exciting. Last endpoint that the team's been working on so that you can publish out to Outlook, SharePoint, Teams, and soon Viva Engage in one push of your publication. Number 3, Microsoft Teams, the ability for meeting participants to edit their display name. You're not just locked into whatever Entra ID you have. Make it fun, and especially per different meetings, it might be nice to add somebody's different name or last name for clarity. If there are 2 marks, to be real clear, you can just call me Cashman. Anyway, I think that'll be fun, and I think it's a real boost for how it is you can make your meetings a little bit more fun or a little bit more tactical so that people know who they're talking to. Number 4, Microsoft Graph, the SharePoint Pages API is coming to preview. This is a new Graph API to create and manage SharePoint pages and news posts programmatically. And it's one of those big ones. Again, when you think of what did people do as developers in SharePoint's past with their PhD and their deep roots into the farm, well, that's to be able to control and create pages at a Pages API level. And number 5, Microsoft Viva back to the Viva land with Viva goals appearing in people profile cards. So Delve might be going away in a year's time, but a lot of the new value of what it is to carry forward your profile, especially if you are using Viva goals and people have access to view your goals, they'll be able to see them associated to you on your profile cards, and vice versa. When you're looking at other people's profile cards, you'll be able to see their goals alongside their files and other activities and who they report to and all of that stuff. A lot more value when you pop up and hover and see somebody's profile cards. You'll see Viva goals value coming through. All right, those are the top 5 things, but wait! There's a bonus long-term teaser as well. Microsoft Teams loop components in Teams chat for GCC. Now, I know there's a lot of government customers out there that are always waiting for things to come a little bit down the road after they come to the broader scope of Microsoft 365 tenants. This is a big one, and hopefully, just as a small bonus of what's coming, this one is coming calendar year Q2, as far as I know. And it's a pretty exciting thing to see Loop broadening out where you can do loops, create loops, enjoy and view and engage in loops, now coming for Teams chat for GCC soon. You can review all of these and more on the public Microsoft 365 roadmap. I'll have that link in the show notes and in the blog. Anytime you like, you can click to your heart's content to see what's coming, what the various product teams have planned for you on the roadmap. Again, anytime you like, click into the Microsoft 365 public roadmap. All right, let us continue the teasing. These are the January teasers, this month's real roadmap teasers for the near-term future. Teaser number 1, community campaigns in Viva Engage. These are a new way to get involved from anywhere in Engage by posting with a verified campaign hashtag. Pretty cool new technology, especially if you're the one that creates the campaign. It's very easy to then have people and other content and conversations engage in that campaign. Teaser number 2, Microsoft Teams Discover Feed in Channel. Instead of going through each channel, you will be able to view the Discover feed to catch up quickly on relevant channel activity. And that is it for this month's Peek Ahead and the end of our multi-part end-of-year teaser section. We'll share more details and other updates within the SharePoint Roadmap Pit Stop next month. So let us close out. It has been a treat this past year, bringing you pit stops and regular episodes month after month. And beyond the pod, to see a lot of you in person at events, it is always nice to get a tap on the shoulder when someone says, "Hey, Mark, just wanted to say, love the pod." Really does warm my heart, reminds me that what we're doing is getting out there and is of use and of help to people. And of course, as always, love hearing what people are doing with SharePoint and related technology and what helps. And always really nice for people to let me know what it is that they'd like to hear on future episodes. Where I get the most input is when I see and meet people who are listeners of the Interzone and get to see them in person. So don't ever stop that. So on to 2024 we go. We have a lot planned and many an outreach to make coming soon to the Interzone. We've got a lot of great episodes in planning, but again, we would love to hear if you have any ideas. For this episode, we've added a lot of learn more links per feature, plus a list of important resources in the show notes and in the corresponding blog post on the Microsoft Tech community, published to the SharePoint community blog. I hope you've enjoyed this roadmap pit stop rounding out the end of 2023. Time to pump your brakes and relax to know that you are all caught up. If anything still leaves you scratching your head with open questions or concerns, please send us your thoughts and comments to theinterzone@microsoft.com. We're here to put our and your best change management foot forward. Thank you for taking that step with us into the cloud month after month. This is Mark Cashman saying, ho, 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 Merry Microsoft 365 and Happy Holidays on the roadmap ahead.